2025 is a year full of cinematic surprises. Movies that I thought for sure were going to be awful, like Hard Eyes, turned out to be good. And now, that same phenomenon has just happened again with The Monkey. It's as Darman says, you really can't judge a book by its cover, because with these trailers, I thought for sure they would be trash, irredeemable, putrid garbage that, at best, could become fun bad. But that hasn't really been the case. I've just been enjoying them. So The Monkey is a very silly premise. There's a haunted, possessed, evil monkey doll toy. But don't call it a toy. They make that like the tagline in the movie sometimes. That's like the slogan on the back of the fucking cereal box for it. So you turn the key in the monkey and someone will die. It'll raise its hand, it starts beating its drum, and then someone dies in a really gory, quick way. It's marketed as being based on a Stephen King short, which I feel like I see in every horror movie these days. I don't know how many shorts and books Stephen King has written, but by this point, and based on all these trailers, it must be in the fucking millions, because it seems like every concept ever Stephen King wrote. Like, The Mystery of the Smelly Pants. It's a pair of pants once owned by Beelzebub, and now it's fallen into the possession of this unsuspecting family, and when you put the pants on, a very odd aroma starts to flood the atmosphere that makes people choke and die. A Stephen King short brought to life by the Longlegs director. So this is directed by the guy behind Longlegs. Good movie. I thought it was a little overhyped. I still enjoyed it. This movie, good movie. I think the glaze is a little too much. I think all the cream pies it's getting are a little over the top. The film, just from the trailer, you can immediately tell, knows that it's a little goofy. It's self-aware. But I thought it would still be a horror movie with some comedy sprinkled in, some tiddlywinks, some notes of comedy. But this movie is not that. It is a comedy with some slight garnishes of horror that are occasionally put in there. Because all of the kills and shit are simply used as a vessel for a joke. There is no real horror in The Monkey. It is just a full-blown comedy film. Which I think is fine. It can work if it was just better at it. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. As I said, I had fun watching it. But by the end of it, it becomes way too self-aware to its own detriment, where it just feels like everything is completely worthless. So, the monkey's beating the drum. Someone's dying. Someone's going to die. And they don't even do the bare minimum of building tension to it because they'd rather it just be a punchline. So, a quick example, in the trailer, there's the scene where the main character and that lady are walking through the house and she's about to open a closet and he's like, oh, wait, no. And then she opens the closet and a shotgun blows her to pieces. It fucking insta-gives her like it's TF2. That's the whole scene, and in the film, he's covered in all this blood and body parts and stuff, and he stands there and he takes off his glasses, cleans it, puts them on, his sunglasses, everything okay? And he's like, yep. And then he walks away. And it's supposed to be something like you laugh at, but they do that exact same gag like 8 fucking times. In all of the kills, I thought it'd be, like a Final Destination type of thing where you'd have like this crazy freak thing that they start building tension with, but it's not. It's just hits instantly for the sake of comedy. So like leading up to that woman getting blown to pieces, she's talking about all the people that are dying in really freak ways. And it just gives you a montage of like dead bodies. And that's it. Like, it shows you, like, the very end of a kill to try and make you laugh at it. Like, there's a scene, Bill, don't turn that key. And he's like, but I might. No, Bill, don't. And then as he's saying don't, it cuts to a fucking funeral and it shows that the guy had been turned into fucking cherry pie by a stampede. Like, all of the kills are just used to have the character go, yuck. And then leave. Like, it's just, like, that joke loses its luster and it really takes away from the rest of the film because it's pointless. Like, every death, all of it, it doesn't do anything if it's not making you laugh. Because the characters in the film don't take it seriously. A good comparison I'd make is to something like Scream, where, yeah, there's a lot of comedy in there, but they also do get serious. There's a lot of moments in this movie where I was like, okay, now it's about to get serious because, his brother is doing some fucked up shit. But no, even all that's played as a joke. There's never a moment in this film where anything gets serious. Like, he's about to lose custody of his kid, and even that's not serious. They'll just have somebody, like, blow up, and it'll be like, oh, gross. Man, Dad, why weren't you there for me? It's like, okay, that conflicting tone can be humorous for sure, but when you do it 20 times in a row, it stops being humorous. So really, the film only offers one thing: comedy. And if it's not landing for you, you're not going to have a great time with the movie. There's some good shots, and like, he shows he can film horror, but it's just not a horror movie. It's a comedy first and foremost that sometimes will dip its little tootsies into horror. But anyway, overall, I was entertained. I think it is a good movie. It's just, it really loses its luster in the second half. Like, I think the first half is strong because the jokes are landing. It's the first time they're telling the jokes. But when it gets to the second half, this shit's like Derek Zoolander. It's got one look. It's just the same joke over and over again. Here's someone dying in a crazy way with body parts flying all over the place and maybe some CGI blood and yuck. And it's not even crazy ways sometimes. Like, it felt like they were like running out of ideas for how someone should die. So you just have people like randomly blow up and it's like, whoa, they blew up. Dad, why don't you love me? And like, you hear the same joke so many times, you see it so many times that by the end it's just like, it's tiresome. They wore it out. I really think what they should have done is keep the first half the way it is, because it is working. Like, that is when it is at its strongest. But it should gradually get more serious as he's got his son here that, you know, he's trying to protect by being an absentee father, but now he can't really protect him anymore because his son's been brought in on the family secret of the monkey that controls life and death. Like I feel like if they had played that second half more serious, it would have made everything work, and it would have elevated the comedy too, because then you can save jokes. You can make jokes hit harder if you're not just constantly having people blow up as your main source of comedy there. I do like the twin brother, though. Like the one that's descended into madness because of the monkey. I think he was really entertaining. But his time is so brief. The star that burns brightest burns out quickest. Like, he's only there for a little bit, so you don't get a lot from him. But I feel like they could have leaned into that more, where as it's getting serious, you have that more serious tone now conflicting with this very cartoonish bad guy. Like, I think that could have worked better as opposed to just still once again relying on, oh, that person blew up. Like, I don't know. I still liked it. I didn't dislike it by any means. It's just, by the end, it really felt kind of pointless. Like, there's not even really a story to this movie at all. It's just kind of a series of deaths that people don't really react to. And that's the humor of it. Wow, that person died and they don't really seem to care. They're talking about where they're going to go eat lunch. What? That's so wacky. And I have to just mention one thing specifically because it really reminded me of the bad scary movies, like, 5, where it doesn't really have a joke it wants to tell, but it feels like it needs to have one. So in this film, that's the cheerleaders. So there's a couple scenes where, like, during all this death, you'll have these cheerleaders that are going, yeah, they're wheeling the body out, wee, woohoo, and it's like, okay, how zany. And at the very end of the film, the cheerleaders come back on a school bus and they're cheering because so many people just died. And as they're leaning out of the window cheering for all this death directly at the screen, which is like a breaking fourth wall moment, which I'm never really a fan of fourth wall breaks. I think they're just kind of cringe. But they're cheering like, yeah, well, what a movie, all this death. As they're cheering, a truck comes by and it decapitates all the cheerleaders. Roll credits, that's the end of the movie. It just feels so dumb. Like, I'm using that as an example of sometimes where the movie feels like it needs to try and make you laugh, so it just does the stupidest possible way of getting to that point. And the very end of the movie, it tries to send you off with a big smile on your face with laughing at that, but nobody laughed in the theater when that came on. I heard a groan. Because, like, that's just kind of... That's really lazy. That's fucking nothing. And that's just kind of how I felt towards the end of the film. Again, I don't think it's a bad movie. I enjoyed it. Like, it's a fine film. I guess it's going to be very hit or miss depending on how much you like that joke of people blowing up and others reacting to it in not normal ways. So yeah, anyway, that's about it. So yep.